7 draws. That's Cruz in the black and Juan Manuel Marquez in the blue and red.
Cruz is a guy who knows all the tricks in the ring, and he'll probably need them tonight against Marquez, because Marquez has just been developing so fast. Now, Juan Manuel Marquez is a kid who was given a lot of trouble by a mover in the ring, Julian Wheeler, 3 fights back. In fact, he was down. He was losing that fight, down a couple of points in the last round when he managed to stop Wheeler thanks to, well, a very controversial call by Larry Rosadilla, the referee, in that final round of that fight. And it appeared as though he was going to lose on points. But, Tom, it appeared to me as though he had learned his lessons and fought much better against guys who were trying to utilize a moving style against him in his last couple of fights, and certainly Julio Gervasio, who just really had no chance that night, even though Gervasio was a former world champion.
Well, Cruz will certainly give him a test. He will know what boxing is all about, even if he knocks Cruz out with 1 punch. Cruz has been around, in fact, making only his 2nd fight in the United States. He lost to Jesse Magana here at the Forum, but he fights and loses to awfully good guys. Corte, Robinson, Vasquez. He is 34, though. They call him Italian. Does most of his fighting overseas. Dominican, from the Dominican Republic.
He also, Cruz lost to Nassim Hamed a couple of years back. He's a very good boxer, very smart, hard target.
But he took Hamed 12 rounds, did he not?
I think he may have been stopped, but he wasn't put down by Hamed.
No. So he's got a good chin. He can take a punch if you can find him to land it. So far, it has been a very cautious first round, and Cruz obviously knows of the punching power of this young talent, Juan Manuel Marquez, and is very, very careful and respectful of it, I'm sure.
Marquez appears to have all the tools of a growing star. He's developing rapidly. Showed great improvement, as I mentioned, following that Wheeler fight. He's handled by Nacho Beristain. He throws lots of punches, excellent quickness. He's aggressive, and he's got power.
This is scheduled for 10. They're in the featherweight division. But a very quiet first round for these 2 men.
One thing I've noticed in Marquez fights, though, Tom, is that he gets better round by round. He usually improves as the fight goes on.
Almost had Cruz trapped for a moment, but he got away. We'll be back with round 2. This is round number 2. Juan Manuel Marquez in the blue, trimmed in red. Freddy Cruz in the solid black trunks. Cruz has 16 knockouts out of 49 victories. 12 knockouts and 15 wins. Disqualification cost Marquez his first fight. Since then he's won 15 in a row.
That was on a headbutt in his first bout, suffering his only loss. When that fight was stopped, he came back to knock out that same fighter in 3 rounds when they later fought. Marquez has had a history since we've seen him. First half of his career fought strictly in Mexico, but he's following that Marco Antonio Barrera formula. He just left Mexico, came here, got himself a home with foreign boxing, and letting foreign boxing basically handle the promotion and getting him experience. We saw him first against Israel Gonzalez, and we were so impressed with him that night in December of '94 at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. And he's been fighting strictly under the auspices of foreign boxing since he came to the U.S.
He's had Cruz backing up almost continually since right after the introductions. Cruz very elusive and hard to hit and hard to put a glove on in a serious manner. Wily, crafty boxer. 34 years of age. You wonder what kind of shape he'd have to be in to go 10 rounds doing this with this youngster.
Marquez is giving him a lot of shoulder feints, stepping forward with his foot, looking at the way that Cruz will move when he feints and when he does certain things. He's studying his opponent right here, Tom, which is nice to see in a young fighter.
And, of course, the crowd is getting a little irritated at Cruz, who there threw a punch, one of the few he's thrown since the fight started. But his movement, bouncing up and down, dancing away, boxing, eluding Juan Manuel Marquez doesn't sit well with the fans.
I talked to Antonio Curtis, the matchmaker, tonight before the fight, and I said, why would you put Marquez in with a guy like Cruz, who can be a real spoiler? He's a tough guy to look good against. And he says in the long run, this will be what Marquez needs. This is the kind of fight where, he'll learn a lot in this fight, and he'll learn how to fight these kind of guys.
I tell you, Cruz has been very elusive, very hard to hit, slipping, sliding, moving. Marquez hasn't really gotten a clean shot at him. There's a perfect example of it. Whistling punches thrown, and Cruz just isn't there to be hit.
Well, but you must land something yourself in order to win a round.
True. Oh, I've given the first 2 rounds to Marquez, but Cruz certainly points up the fact that he is not going to be an easy guy to find. If his legs should go at age 34, or what if he should slow down, Marquez probably will catch him. There's Berenstein talking to...
Looks like he's teaching right in the corner.
Well, he has a unique rapport with his fighters. It's almost fatherly. It's almost paternal, the way he talks to them and how they look up and respect his thoughts and ideas. Now Freddy Cruz, the people handling his corner over there.
Well, he's not easily discouraged. That was proven early in his career. In his first 6 fights, he had only 1 victory. And he's gone on to build up a darn impressive record since then.
He has indeed, no question about it. Marquez stalking his man. Cruz just bouncing away. Throws 2-3 jabs, none of which landed. He continues to back away from Marquez, who ties him up. Chuck Hassett's the 3rd man in the ring.
Cruz has a good chin, despite the fact that he was down twice against Magaña. He doesn't get put down very often either.
No. Jabs, none of which landed, and took a right hand sliding away from it, thrown by Marquez. This is round number 3. It's scheduled for 10. Most of those punches caught on the right hand glove of Cruz, backing away.
And he's got some real defensive techniques.
He really has. Yeah, it's Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Fought but once in the United States. Fights in Europe, of course, mainly Italy.
Very cautious here. I think he must have seen that tape of that fight against Julio Gervasio by Juan Manuel Marquez, because he's fighting extremely cautiously as Cruz.
Well, it's a style that is not going to endear him to the fans here at the Great Western Forum. Marquez bangs that left hand to the body. Whistles a left hand that Cruz caught partially on his right elbow.
But I'm sure he felt some of that power in that shot.
I tell you, that smacked pretty good. There's another one. And you can't block them all. Or can you? I don't know. We're looking at action in round 3.
Marquez seems to have found the correct ticket here to winning, and turning the fight in his direction, Tom, which is the left hook to the body, has landed very successfully.
action in round number 4 as it starts here. These are featherweights. That's Juan Manuel Marquez in the blue and red. In the solid black trunks, the wily, crafty veteran. He's 34, Freddy Cruz. Marquez is the young man, in case you've just joined us, that has that label of can't miss. Young featherweight has won 15 in a row. Has knocked out 12 of his opponents. Is a definite piece of raw talent that seems to get better every time we see him. And he's in against a guy who has seen everything in the ring, Freddy Cruz, and a real trial horse for him. Banging away to the body. Cruz has not really been much of a force or factor in this fight. Very elusive, very cautious, very difficult to hit. Whatever punches, or most of whatever punches have been thrown by Marquez. As a result, I've got him winning all the first 3 rounds.
Perhaps Cruz feels he'll start coming on later in the fight, Tom, but the thing is, against Marquez, that's a dangerous type of strategy because Marquez just gets stronger every round. He gets better every round. We've seen that happen with him fight after fight. He just gets better with each succeeding round. The more he gets into it, the better he gets.
Crowd is getting on Cruz's case pretty good. Bear in mind also that Marquez is only 22 and Cruz is bouncing around and moving on legs that are 34. Stumbled and Cruz nearly fell down, not from a punch, just their feet got all locked up together. Well, Cruz is making it difficult for Marquez to really shine here in the first 3 rounds. But he isn't doing anything about winning this fight, if indeed that's why he climbed into the ring.
No, this is far different than the Julian Wheeler episode that Marquez found himself faced with, because in that fight, while Wheeler was moving a lot of lateral movement, he was moving and jabbing, popping Marquez with jabs, moving around the ring, throwing combinations. Cruz here basically has just been in a complete defensive posture.
And in that Wheeler fight, as you pointed out, why it was just a quirk of fate, and Rosadilla stopped the fight with 5 seconds to go, complaining about the fact that Wheeler was holding. Without any warning that he was going to stop the fight, he did. Wheeler was actually ahead on cards, Rich.
Yeah, I thought really that Wheeler deserved to win that fight.
Yeah. Marquez working to the body. Round 4 coming to a close. End of 4 rounds, it's 40-36 in favor of Marquez in Rich Murata's scorebook, which means, of course, that Marquez has won all of the 4 rounds, getting 10 points for each of the 4. A lesser number, in this case 9, to Cruz, making a total of 36. Cruz really has not done much offensively. He's been very clever and adroit, very slippery, very hard to find, very difficult to hit.
I'd like to see, from Marquez's standpoint, see him go back to that left hook to the body, Tom. I thought it was really successful for him in the 3rd round. He starts off there trying to double up off of that left hook.
Come up with an uppercut right off it, and that's not a bad weapon. Some wag behind us between rounds. We're just trying to hold a pool on whether or not Cruz would throw a serious punch here. What round? Marquez is obviously well schooled. He works to the body, works to the head as well. Cruz threw a punch that was nearly a very effective item a moment ago. Marquez just did slip away, and there's a left hand by Cruz, who's beginning to show a little more interest in the fight here in round number 5.
And that's kind of the way that he did it against Magana. Magana built up a big early lead, and Cruz closed the gap coming down the stretch. But that's what he needs to do, get that jab to work.
Cruz in the black trunks and Juan Manuel Marquez in the blue and red. I suppose there's an added burden put upon the shoulders of young Juan Manuel Marquez. Everybody says you're going to be a champion. You can't miss. He wants to go out and knock Freddy Cruz out tonight. And you just can't find Cruz to knock him out. Try as he might, I'm sure that impress everybody with a big-time win here.
Marquez right, at least so far, has not found its home. See, he's missing with that right. That's a big shot for him. He needs to be able to land that one. His left hook has been a pretty good weapon to the body, and his left jab has done well, but his right cross, he needs to follow behind that jab and land that right cross. He'll be in a lot better shape.
Now Cruz actually pins Marquez against the ropes for a moment and landed a couple of pretty good right hands. Not devastating, but punches that scored. Chuck Hassett says no holding and hitting. Cruz, very, very clever. Blocked most of those. Round 5 coming to a close. And there's the bell, and that brings us to the end of round 5. Well, we haven't seen many knockout type punches here in the 5 rounds so far in this one, but how about this group of devastating hitters? Roy Jones Jr., you know he's a basketball player too, Mitch.
Yeah, we should put a boxer / point guard by his name. There seems to be some controversy growing. Here Ring Magazine is seriously considering putting De La Hoya as their #1 now in the pound for pound list. But
I don't know. Until somebody beats Jones, I think De La Hoya modest enough to be right where he is. I like him there with Trinidad and Barrera.
Barrera fights
Forte.
this weekend.
Whitaker has dropped down. A lot of people think we're a little too critical of Whitaker, but I don't know why he doesn't get in to fight one of those guys, but he hasn't. I think it's a nice list.
We'll see Too Sharp Johnson there, number 11.
Yeah.
We'll see him August 5th, right here on Prime at the Forum.
Yeah, his first title defense since winning the IBF flyweight title. Out they come for round number 6. It's scheduled for 10.
We will see what Riddick Bowe does this Thursday night in his fight with Andrew Galata at Madison Square Garden, and see if he warrants a reintroduction into our devastating belt.
Well, I think Bowe's a good heavyweight. I really do, when motivated. And
I just wonder if anybody beside Tyson will motivate the guy.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I think he's a bona fide, nice left hand by Marquez. Works to the body, tried to bring it up, to double up with it. Looked for all the world like Marquez was wide open for that right hand by Cruz, but he kind of pulled it up short, Rich. Looked like he could have thrown it and hit Marquez right in the middle of the face with it. Almost jumping right into Cruz. Putting that jab.
That right continues to miss, though, by Marquez.
Yeah.
That's a big weapon for him. You know, as a one-handed fighter, you're going to be a lot less spectacular than if you're, raking your opponent with 2 hands.
Well, it was that left-right combination, and the right was devastating that knocked his last opponent out in the fight we saw here at the Forum. Gervasio was that, oh boy, a left and a right. Picture perfect. And the right hand just flattened Gervasio.
Yeah, and in the fight before that, when he fought Hector Chong here at the Forum on March 4th, he scored 2 knockdowns in that fight before a 4th round knockout, and both were with clean right hands.
We're watching the action in round number 6. It has been pretty one-sided. There's a little move by Marquez. Step to the right, come back and throw that left hand. The youngster trying to teach the wily, crafty veteran a thing or two. So far, Cruz has been content to be in a defensive mode. Boxing beautifully.
Marquez has not been impatient tonight. I think his patience has been impressive. He's not gone crazy wild. He hears the boos from the fans. He's not getting upset. He's just following through with the fight plan and looking to box his man.
Good left hand. It might have been a little bit low, and Cruz indicated as much. Chuck Hassett cautioned Marquez to bring it up. Well, I think Marquez realizes that he's got a partisan crowd here, and that the boos are not for him. I'm sure that he would love to have Cruz make a toe-to-toe out of this. I don't know if that is Cruz's intent at all. So far, doesn't indicate that. So round 6 coming to a close, scheduled for 10. We'll be back after this. Round number 7 scheduled for 10 featherweights. Juan Manuel Marquez. in the blue, trimmed in red. Freddy Cruz in the solid black. It has been a cat and mouse game. Cruz so far evasive and slippery, wily, crafty, consummate boxer. Marquez unable to get a real shot at him, has not been able to hurt him, but whenever punches of substance have been thrown by Marquez.
I hope that Cruz showed up to try to fight and win tonight. He so far hasn't given much of an indication of that. He could, change tactics here in the second half of the bout, but he's lost every round certainly so far, Tom.
I would think so.
He's almost to the point of needing a knockout to win.
Yes.
Or some very big rounds.
Which I think would obviously, they clashed heads together. I don't see blood coming anywhere from the forehead of Cruz. Chuck Hassett says, let's get on with it. But Marquez indicated with a show of pain on his face that he felt it.
Yeah, it looked like a bump rose right immediately on his forehead, Tom.
Kind of a slapping left hand by Marquez. Well, if Cruz dances, slips and slides and moves away for 10 rounds, it's a testimony to great conditioning on a set of 34-year-old legs that has been around a long time. Marquez is trying to find his man for one solid shot to slow him down long enough to level some leather at him. Right hand by Cruz.
Yeah, that one had some serious intentions on it for the first time, I think.
He's had an opportunity to throw that punch a couple of times at Marquez, and he's almost thrown it halfway a couple of times, pulled it up short. The time he let it go. Marquez lets that jab go. If Cruz steps to his right and throws that right hand right over the top of it, he can score with it.
Pretty good jab. He snaps it out there pretty strong, Tom, and a lot of times he'll throw it out not just once, but throw 2 jabs out and try to follow it in. Unfortunately for him, his right has not been there tonight, but he's been doing most of his damage with his left.
Another right hand by Cruz. Somewhat effective punch for him here. His time is running out in round number 7. We'll be back to see about round number 8 after this.
Clash of heads in round number 7 between the two fighters. There you see them come together. Interestingly enough, there was some slight blood from the left eye, as I mentioned, in that round by Marquez. And Chuck Hassett has told the judges he's calling a headbutt there. Although I really didn't think the headbutt opened up the cut.
I didn't either.
I saw a bump go up immediately on the forehead of Marquez, but I don't think it's going to come into effect anyway in this fight.
No, I don't
very
either.
Small cut.
Yeah.
Very small.
This is round number 8, scheduled for 10.
Now, Cruz has got to get busy here. He tripled up on his jab a few moments ago, which is a good start.
Crowd continues to be highly critical of Freddy Cruz.
Well, it's disappointing. I'm sure many of these fans either were in attendance or watched on television that night at the Anaheim Pond, and you see Juan Manuel Marquez in that scintillating performance against Julio Gervasio, and you say, man, I want to go see them. When this guy fights again, I'm rushing down there and seeing him. I want to see this. Well, they all came down here, and they were hoping for that kind of a performance, and Cruz has not given Marquez really the opportunity to be that kind of a fighter here tonight.
It takes 2 to tango. And despite the best efforts of Cruz and how well-intentioned he is, Marquez, I should say, Cruz is just not going to allow him that kind of an evening. The crowd thought that he was going to stand and exchange punches with this hard-hitting youngster. Badly mistaken. As you pointed out earlier, Rich, that Marquez has not lost his cool or composure, I think is a credit to him and to the people in his corner. Cruz. There's a pretty good left hand right at the midsection. It'd be easy to become frustrated and just kind of lose your head and go crazy out there.
Jerry, he's only 22 years old, and he wants to look impressive, and he wants to build a following, and he wants to be like Marco Antonio Barrera, who's so popular in these parts right now.
There's a little more show of blood there in the corner of the left eye of Juan Manuel Marquez. Referee Chuck Hassett has indicated a headbutt is responsible for it. Coming to the close of round number 8, it is scheduled for 10. Cruz making a bit more of an evening out of it here. Round. It's scheduled for 10. 10 seconds remain. And we'll be back to see about the final 2 rounds. Number 9 coming up in a moment. Scheduled for 10. He's a featherweight. That's Freddy Cruz in the black. In the blue, trimmed in red, Juan Manuel Marquez. Looking for a 16th in a row. He's got a record of 15-1. Cruz has been here, there, and everywhere. Unbelievably fine record. 49-8 with 7 draws. Oh boy, that shot by Marquez was way below the belt. Chuck Hassett's cautioning each one of them, telling Cruz quit holding and hitting, and he also cautioned or warned Marquez about the low blow. Boy, that baby was south of Tijuana by about 200 miles, wasn't it?
Well, maybe he just lost his patience for a moment.
Well, it could be. It could be, but
maybe he just thought, well, let me give you one thing to remember me by.
Take something back to your corner. Now Marquez suddenly ended up fighting as a southpaw. But I think the boxing skills of Cruz might have been very evident to you there. Marquez advanced, looked as though he might have a shot at him, and Cruz just bounced, weaved, slipped away, and Marquez never really got to put any serious leather on it. Is obviously on a defensive maneuver tonight. Covers up, slips back, slapping left hand by Cruz.
The right hand got close by Marquez. It kind of grazed the side of the head of Cruz, who's been very wary of that right hand tonight and seems to have built a defense around avoiding that right hand all night if he can. To see more body work from Juan Manuel.
Well, even when he does get Cruz in what you'd think would be an ideal spot to hit him a few times, Cruz, to his credit, I tell you, when this guy move, slip and slide, he's something. To the dismay of the crowd, why, that's not what they want. And of course, barring a complete turnaround by Cruz, and he doesn't have that many rounds left. This is the 9th. That's going to put him in for his 9th loss in a long career. Well, round 10 yet to be fought. We'll be back to see about it in a moment. All right, here they come. Round number 10. Freddy Cruz in the black. Juan Manuel Marquez in blue. I don't think there's a question, unless I've been looking at the wrong fight, but what Marquez has won this affair tonight, Rich.
Yeah, you know, I was more impressed with Cruz in the Jesse Magana fight. Even though he was knocked down twice in that fight, Tom, he tried to win that fight.
Yeah.
You know, and he came on late and made it a very good fight, made it a close fight. And he showed up with victory in mind that night. Tonight, he showed up in what appears to me with a paycheck.
Yeah. Well, I do have to marvel at his ability. He's been doing this for 10 rounds on 34-year-old legs. The man's in magnificent shape and condition, obviously. And he certainly knows his way around the ring. Marquez bouncing up and down. to lure, I'm sure, Cruz into making some kind of a wrong move.
It is a testament, though, to the singular defensive skills of Cruz that Marquez has not been able to land one significant right hand of meaning here this evening.
And very few. There it is, though. That was one of them. And Cruz said, no, I didn't get knocked down, but it's a moot point.
It finally happened.
Oh, boy, he says I'm not hurt, but he went down, and despite his protests, does he think this is going to take a win away from him? I don't think he was in any shape to win the fight anyway. I mean, in the judges' cards. But I'll tell you, he spent nine rounds stepping away from that right hand, and now with just under a minute to go in round 10.
First time Juan Manuel was able to land it cleanly.
Had to wait patiently, well, not so patiently, for 9 rounds and 2 minutes, and finally were rewarded with a solid right-hand shot that saw Marquez knock Freddy Cruz in the back of his lap.
Yeah, I think Marquez was a lot more patient than his fans tonight. Well, I'm sure he's glad he was at least able to close the show with a flare here in the 10th round.
Yes, just seconds remain. Marquez, nice mixture there. There's the bell, and it's over.
That was some bad feeling over what went on in that ring.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Has presented Fight Night at the Forum, brought to you by Budweiser, the official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic Summer Games. This Bud's for you. While we await the official decision, we're very thankful for Ramon Hurtado and Hector Chavez. What a fight they gave us.
That was terrific.
The light flyweights. Jimmy Lennon Jr. has got the official decision. Jimmy, if you will.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision. All 3 judges score the bout 100-89 in favor of the winner, Juan Manuel Marquez.
100-89 on all the cards. It was a one-sided thing. You talk about a Koufax shutout. That was really one of them here in the ring tonight. A one-sided affair, and Juan Manuel Marquez now goes to 16-1, and a disappointing performance for Freddy Cruz. Well,
prediction, that is, would he be susceptible to a punch? Has he really ever taken a good punch?
All heavyweights are susceptible to punches. This is the heavyweight division. One punch can change a fight around.
Look at Jimmy Young right now. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, this is a typical boxing match. The cagey veteran with all the experience against the young kid on the way up. In my opinion, youth will be served.
All right, the heavyweights. And a fight that many boxing observers are looking closely at, because Jerry Cooney is finally getting an opponent who...
and weighs in at 223 pounds even. He's ranked number 6 in the world by the WBC, Jimmy Young.